Have you ever wondered why the lion, and not the tiger, the bear, or even the mighty elephant, was crowned the king of the animals? The lion isn't the biggest predator, it's not the fastest either, and when it comes to strength, others easily surpass it. Yet for thousands of years across continents and cultures, the lion has ruled our imagination. Painted on ancient walls, carved into royal thrones, roaring on flags and coats of arms, always the lion, always the king. Why? What is it about this one animal that made humans across history bow their heads in respect and in fear? Today we're diving deep into the myths, the realities, and the hidden forces behind one of the oldest titles ever given by humankind. Why the lion, above all others, became the eternal king. The lion's title as king of the animals is not an accident of nature, nor is it a simple matter of physical dominance. It's a story woven across thousands of years, shaped by human culture, survival instincts, and our endless fascination with symbols of power. In this journey, we'll uncover why the lion, among all creatures, earned a throne in the myths of ancient civilizations, from the deserts of Egypt to the jungles of India to the medieval courts of Europe. We'll explore how real lions live and behave in the wild, and how their habits mirror the qualities we once believed only kings and rulers could possess. We'll break apart the layers of storytelling, psychology, and history that created a symbol so powerful it survived the rise and fall of empires. And we'll ask, what does it mean today in a modern world where real lions are disappearing and kingship itself has lost much of its old meaning? Understanding this story matters because it reveals more than just the tale of an animal. It reveals something about us, about the human mind, about how we choose leaders, about the myths we still need, even in the age of technology. By the end of this exploration, you won't just see a lion the same way again. You'll understand why the world needs kings, why we invent them, and why, deep down, part of us still kneels when we hear a roar.
Before we dive into today's mystery, here's something important. Over 95% of people who watch our videos aren't subscribed to the channel. If you enjoy this type of content, support this channel by subscribing. It only takes 2 clicks for you, but it means a lot to us. It helps us grow, reach more curious minds, and build a strong community around the questions that matter. So go ahead, hit that button, and let's keep exploring together.
Long before humans built cities of stone and towers of glass, we lived in fear of the wild. The world was a dangerous place. Every shadow could hide a predator. Every sound in the dark could mean death. Among the creatures that haunted early human life, the lion stood apart. Early ancestors who ventured across the African savanna would have seen lions in their raw, terrifying majesty, a pride resting beneath a lone tree, a massive male standing tall against the setting sun, the deep rumble of a roar shaking the ground beneath their feet. In a world where survival depended on sharp senses and quick decisions, the lion wasn't just an animal. It was an overwhelming force of nature, raw, golden, and crowned by fire. The earliest recorded depictions of lions date back over 17,000 years. Inside the Chauvet Cave in France, Paleolithic artists drew lions not as prey or background animals, but as central figures, leaders in the great theater of life. Later, as humans formed the first civilizations, lions became more than just feared predators. They became symbols. In ancient Mesopotamia, the lion was seen as the ultimate challenge to human strength. Kings were often depicted hunting lions, not because it was common, but because it showed that the king could master nature itself. In Egypt, the lion was sacred to the goddess Sekhmet, the fierce protector of pharaohs and the embodiment of war. Her lioness form wasn't just for beauty, it symbolized unmatched power and divine authority. And far across the deserts and mountains, ancient Indian texts praise the Simha, the lion, as a creature of majesty and courage, guardians of sacred law. The thread across these cultures was clear. Wherever people lived close to lions, the lion wasn't just another beast. It was a being of almost supernatural importance. But why? Part of the answer lies in the way lions live. Unlike many other predators, lions are social. They live in prides, family groups with clear hierarchies and roles. There's the dominant male or coalition of males, the nurturing but fierce females, the playful cubs, and the constant struggle for survival within and beyond the pride. To early humans, who were themselves learning to live in organized societies, the lion pride looked strangely familiar. It mirrored the human tribe, the human kingdom. A king needed strength, yes, but he also needed loyalty, protection of the young, and cooperation within the group. The lion displayed all these traits in the wild, without being taught, without wearing a crown. Thus, across history, the lion wasn't just admired for its physical power, it became a reflection of an idealized version of leadership, one that combined ferocity with responsibility, dominance with protection. It wasn't just the king because it was feared. It was the king because it embodied something humans desperately needed to believe in, the idea that true power could be noble. Across the ancient world, the lion wasn't just seen, it was worshipped. In Mesopotamia, one of the cradles of civilization, kings adorned their palaces with images of lions. The mighty beasts were carved into stone gates, their fierce eyes staring down visitors, a silent message that the king had conquered chaos itself. The Epic of Gilgamesh, one of humanity's oldest surviving works of literature, portrays its hero grappling with lions, wearing their skins as trophies of divine conquest. Further south in Egypt, lions took on an even more profound role. Sekhmet, the lion-headed goddess, was seen as the protector of pharaohs and the punisher of their enemies. When Sekhmet roared, it wasn't just a sound, it was the desert wind, the heat of the sun, the unstoppable force of destiny itself. Pharaohs, seen as living gods, naturally aligned themselves with such power. By claiming the lion's ferocity, they claimed a right to rule not just over people, but over the very forces of the universe. Across the Mediterranean, in ancient Greece, lions guarded sacred sites. In myths, they pulled the chariot of Cybele, the mother of gods, and were slain by heroes like Heracles. Not because lions were enemies, but because conquering a lion symbolized mastering nature's wildest, untamable forces. Even in faraway India, the lion was no stranger to divine imagery. In Hindu tradition, Lord Vishnu, one of the supreme protectors of the universe, took the form of Narasimha, a half-lion, half-man avatar, to destroy evil that no man or God alone could defeat. Here the lion wasn't merely strong, it represented righteous anger, cosmic justice, and unbreakable courage. What all these civilizations shared was a recognition. The lion embodied something primal and essential. It was not only about teeth and claws, it was about an energy, a life force that demanded respect, that refused to bow, that could lead or destroy, depending on how it was honored. Across cultures that had never met, across thousands of miles, humanity independently crowned the lion. In myth, in art, in story, long before they crowned kings, the lion didn't need a crown, it was the crown. When we look at a lion in the wild, we don't just see a predator. We see an entire society, a mirror of our own struggles, ambitions, and dreams. Unlike most big cats, lions do not live solitary lives. They form tightly bonded groups known as prides, usually consisting of a few dominant males, a number of related females, and their cubs. Inside the pride, there is a delicate but powerful structure. Females work together to hunt and raise the young, while the males defend the territory from rivals and threats. This social structure is rare among large predators, and for early humans, it was a revelation. The pride resembled something humans deeply understood: a tribe, a village, a kingdom. In a pride, the protection of the group comes first. When danger threatens, the lions move together, a united front of power and purpose. The alpha male, recognizable by his thick mane, doesn't just dominate, he takes on the burden of defense, standing between his pride and death. This image resonated with early societies. Kings, after all, were expected to be more than just rulers. They were supposed to be protectors, shields between their people and the chaos beyond the borders. Even the lion's physical traits contributed to its royal image. The male's mane, lush, dramatic, commanding, resembles a crown. Scientists today even recognize that the mane signals health, strength, and dominance to both rivals and potential mates. And then there's the roar. A lion's roar can be heard up to 5 miles away. It is not just a call, it is a declaration. I am here. I rule this land. Challenge me if you dare. For humans living close to lions, hearing that roar rolling across the open plains must have been both humbling and electrifying. A reminder of unseen forces moving in the darkness. Through their social bonds, their visual majesty, and their thunderous voices, lions lived in a way that made them feel larger than life. They weren't just animals surviving, they were rulers presiding. Nature itself had crafted a perfect symbol of kingship long before humans ever built thrones. Humans are storytellers by nature. We don't just see the world, we shape it with meaning. A simple tree becomes a symbol of life. A flowing river becomes the path of destiny. A roaring lion becomes a king. Why? Because our minds are wired to look for patterns, for representations of things we value but cannot touch. Strength, courage, leadership, justice. The lion fit perfectly into this mental landscape. It wasn't just an animal we feared, it became an image of everything we admired and longed for in a leader. Its golden color mirrored the sun, the universal symbol of power, life, and eternity. Its fearless behavior represented courage in the face of overwhelming odds. Its dominance over territory mirrored the human concept of rulership and protection. Over time, these associations deepened. When people saw a lion, they didn't just see teeth and muscle. They saw order rising out of chaos, dignity standing firm against destruction. Psychologists today understand this through the concept of archetypes, universal symbols that appear again and again in human storytelling across cultures and epochs. The lion fits the archetype of the noble king perfectly. Proud but not reckless, powerful but not cruel, dominant yet responsible. Even the dangers of the lion, its sudden rages, its ruthless hunts, mirrored our understanding of power itself. Leadership could protect, but it could also destroy if misused. The lion carried both faces of authority within it, the protector and the punisher. And so, generation after generation, we didn't just admire lions. We needed them. In our stories, our art, our flags, our dreams. They became living symbols of the rulers we feared and the rulers we wished for. Deep inside the human mind, the lion took its place, not by force, but by being the perfect vessel for our oldest hopes about what true power should be. In the animal kingdom, the lion is not the strongest fighter. It is not the fastest runner. It does not have the crushing bite of a crocodile or the lethal stealth of a tiger. So why didn't humans crown one of those animals instead? Let's start with the tiger. Tigers are larger, stronger, and often deadlier in single combat. But tigers are solitary hunters, lurking in the dense jungles, unseen and silent. They are creatures of isolation, not community. To early humans, the tiger was a fearsome shadow. Terrifying, yes, but distant and mysterious. The lion, on the other hand, was visible, social, and loud. A public figure ruling open territories, much like a human king. And what about bears? Bears are massive, versatile survivors who dominate many environments. But bears do not inspire unity. They are solitary, wandering creatures, powerful yet disconnected. They symbolize strength, but not leadership. Crocodiles? Deadly and ancient, yes, but cold, reptilian, alien. Humans have always found it easier to relate to mammals, especially those that show complex social behaviors. Even the majestic elephant, with its intelligence and size, did not claim the symbolic crown. Elephants represented wisdom and memory, not the fiery authority of rule. The lion was different. It was seen, heard, and felt in a way that other predators were not. Its pride mirrored a kingdom. Its mane resembled a crown. Its roar sounded like a command. And crucially, lions walked a fine line between danger and dignity. They could be terrifying, but they also showed restraint, family bonds, and communal responsibility. In a world looking for symbols of leadership, strength tempered with loyalty, power balanced with duty, the lion stood alone. Not the biggest, not the strongest, but the clearest reflection of the leader humans dreamed of and feared in equal measure. That is why the lion, and only the lion, became king. Today, most of us will never see a wild lion outside of a zoo or a documentary. And yet the symbol of the lion is everywhere. We see it in national emblems, on sports team logos, in corporate brands, and on the flags of countries and ancient kingdoms. We wear lions on rings, tattoos, jackets, small reminders of strength and courage stitched into the fabric of daily life. But the lion's modern relevance goes deeper than just logos and mascots. It touches something emotional, something we often don't realize we're still searching for. In a world that often feels chaotic and uncertain, the image of the lion, calm, powerful, dignified, offers a comforting ideal. It reminds us of leadership based on strength and protection, of a ruler who watches over his people, not just for personal gain, but as a sacred duty. We still crave that kind of leadership. When we look for political leaders, cultural icons, or even personal mentors, we unconsciously search for those same qualities. Courage, loyalty, the willingness to defend others even at great personal risk. And yet there's an irony. While the lion's image has only grown stronger in human imagination, the lions themselves are vanishing from the wild. A century ago, there were over 200,000 lions roaming across Africa and parts of Asia. Today, fewer than 20,000 remain. Habitat loss, human conflict, and climate change are pushing the real kings closer to extinction. We honor the lion as a symbol, but we are slowly erasing the living being it represents. This contradiction says a lot about modern humanity. We celebrate symbols, but sometimes forget their source. We long for kings, for leaders, for strength rooted in loyalty and justice. But we struggle to protect the very values and living creatures that inspired those dreams. Understanding the lion's place in history isn't just an exercise in nostalgia, it's a mirror. It asks us, what kind of leadership do we really want? And are we willing to defend the ideals we claim to admire? Not just in stories, but in the real, breathing world? In the end, the lion's roar is not just a call across the savannah. It's a call across time, reminding us of the rulers we dreamed of, and the guardians we still need to become. It's easy to admire the lion from a distance, as a story, as a painting, as a logo. But true respect demands more than admiration. It demands action. Facing the legacy of the lion means asking ourselves, what do we do with the symbols we inherit? Do we simply wear them, or do we live by the ideals they represent? In a world that often rewards ruthless ambition and cold calculation, the lion challenges us to think differently about power. Leadership, as the lion shows us, isn't about domination for its own sake. It's about protection, responsibility, and maintaining the balance within a community. In our personal lives, this can mean choosing to lead with integrity, whether it's managing a team, raising a family, or simply being a voice of reason in a divided world. The lion's pride survives because its members trust each other, defend each other, and act together. Without that loyalty, even the strongest lion falls. But there's another side to facing the lion's legacy: protecting the real lions that still walk the earth. Organizations across Africa and Asia are fighting to preserve lion habitats, reduce human-wildlife conflict, and ensure that future generations don't have to learn about lions only through old books and fading memories. Supporting conservation efforts, spreading awareness, and choosing to value life over convenience are small steps that honor not just the symbol of the lion, but the living beings behind the myth. And perhaps most importantly, we must remember that symbols are living things. They grow, they change, and they depend on us to stay alive, not just in stone and ink, but in the way we live, lead, and protect. To face the lion's story today is to recognize that kingship is not about crowns. It's about care. It's about courage without cruelty, strength without arrogance. The roar we hear from history is a reminder. True power is not taken by force. It is given by those who trust you to protect, not destroy. The lion's example is not something we should only admire. It's something we must become. We began with a question. Why, among all the creatures of the earth, did the lion become king of the animals? Through the winding paths of history, we discovered that the answer lies not in brute strength or unmatched size. It lies in something far more powerful: the human imagination. The lion lived in a way that mirrored the highest hopes and deepest fears of early civilizations. Its pride mirrored a human kingdom. Its mane became a natural crown. Its roar echoed like a royal decree. Across Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece, India, and beyond, the lion became not just a creature of flesh and bone, but a vessel for the idea of noble power, leadership based on protection, courage, and an almost sacred duty. Even today, long after kings have fallen and empires have crumbled, the lion remains, not just in stories, but in the symbols we carry, the dreams we build, and the values we claim to admire. But symbols are not immortal unless we breathe life into them. As the real lions of our world face extinction, we are confronted with a deeper truth. The death of a symbol is not just the loss of an animal. It's the loss of a piece of ourselves, of the ideals we once believed in so fiercely. To honor the lion's legacy is to live differently. It is to choose strength with compassion. It is to lead with courage, not cruelty. It is to protect the vulnerable, not exploit them. True kingship, the lion reminds us, is not about being feared. It is about being worthy of trust. In a world that too often mistakes noise for leadership and dominance for greatness, the lion's story offers an ancient, but urgently needed, reminder. Real power comes not from ruling over others, but from standing for them. The roar of the lion still echoes if we choose to listen, not just across the savannas of Africa, but across the kingdoms we build inside our homes, our communities, and our hearts. And perhaps the true crown is not something worn on the head. It's something carried in the soul. If the story of the lion has taught us anything, it's that symbols matter, but only if we choose to live by them. The next time you see a lion on a flag, a crest, a sports jersey, or a statue, look deeper. See the echoes of ancient hopes. See the image of leadership rooted in courage, loyalty, and responsibility. And ask yourself, what kind of kings and queens are we becoming? In our lives, in our choices, in the way we treat others. If you enjoyed this journey into the hidden meaning behind the king of the animals, there's much more ahead. In our next exploration, we'll dive into another powerful symbol. Why do so many ancient cultures worship the serpent, the creature of wisdom, death, and rebirth? The stories we tell shape the world we live in. Let's keep discovering them together.